10, 9, ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Welcome to the Alien Probe Podcast. Today we're discussing current events in UFO and science land. Joining me today is Dr. Bill.
Hi.
Bill, how's it going?
Hello.
What's new, Dr. Bill?
I have a new computer.
What kind did you get, Bill? We can
I got a Mac Mini. I got a Mac Mini with a M1, the new M1 chip. So, yes, the old 13-year-old computer, which was obsolete by Apple standards. I guess I was pushing it too hard, and the graphics card burnt out. Yeah, it was good. Good experience.
Did it catch on fire or anything? Or nothing?
No, it just the graphics card just died. So it's like I had both monitors wouldn't show up anymore, and it just was gone.
You had a blank screen.
Blank screen. But I just backed it up like 3 days before it died. So I bought this, restored it. I bought this was cool. There's a module that goes underneath that you can plug in USBs, and it gives you extra ports. But it also comes with a slot for an SSD. So I took the old drive out of the old computer and plugged it in. So I've doubled my hard drive capacity. So I have an internal 512 and external 512.
Nice.
It's actually not bad. I could have bought a cheaper mini Mac if I'd known about this expansion hub, and saved me, because I think there was for anyone who's interested, it was $150 differential. So I could have saved $150 and still had 256 plus 512. Doesn't matter. I mean, it is what it is. You learn about the new tech as you deal with it. But yeah, slick, liking it. It's working. Been spending a lot of time getting everything working. I got OBS working again, so we can record. And I did that twice, because the first time it was so easy that I didn't believe it, so I deleted everything and did it again. And it was like, oh, okay, that's the way it is. So,
did you see the Astra space stock plunges after rocket failure story?
No, I did. I saw the video. I saw that I was going to watch. I like to watch launches, and I was going to get back to that video and watch the launch. And then I saw the news about the rocket failure. And that was what was the satellite? Do you know what they were launching?
There were several. I would say several. At least 3 satellites. Oh. One was from NASA, and 2 were something else. They didn't specify, of course, what they were. But it's funny because you watch the launch a lot. Did you see the video?
Mm-mm.
You do the launch, and then it was in the same as the China-Russia. It's at the bottom of the China-Russia moon thing. And so you're watching it. They launch, so I fast-forwarded through all the talking.
Yeah.
And they launch, it looks good, and then all of a sudden you watch, there's 2 screens. One's looking at something else, and then another one is like looking at Earth, and then you see Earth, space.
A little bit of a wobble.
And I'm watching that going, what the hell? And they're like, yeah, we lost the whole payload. And the girl comes on and she's just apologizing like, it's she makes an apology like it's sorry,
I'm sorry.
We just lost millions of dollars. Who knows how much of just, I guess our satellite, and these companies develop, how much money it takes to develop these satellites. Well, and it's like, what is Astra? Is that?
I don't know. I haven't.
It seems to be another company. It's got
a launch platform. I don't know anything about it.
Yeah, it's publicly held company. And its stock plunges, and it's like $3.90 a share now.
What is it? Astra.
Stock corner of our.
What's it called? Astra
Space. Astra Space.
My new clicky clicky keyboard.
Yeah, sounds really good and loud.
Sounds clicky. Actually, I'm going to do Wikipedia. My clicky. Oops.
Yeah, I might have to check on that stock. It was interesting. You know, it's trading low now. It's probably going to, depending on what happens with the market these days, might be trading a little lower.
Yeah. Yes.
I didn't.
Welcome to the the Democratic Party economy. Why does this always happen? Well, we have a Democratic president, and now we go from prosperity to.
Now all of a sudden, our gas is $5 a gallon out here again. I was what happened last time? It was $5. Oh, that's right. It was another Democrat.
And they're promoting nuclear war with Russia. It's like the party of peace, right? The Democrats are always the party that is not supposed to be the war party. But now we're pushing nuclear war with Russia. I'm looking at the Wikipedia Astra. Where are they located? Alameda, California. Wow, nice.
Oh, wow, the local.
Yeah, that's very cool. We're saying that because we both grew up in that area, so we know it.
Yeah.
Alaska, Spaceport Complex, Alaska. I wonder why there's an advantage to that. I thought the advantage for space launch was closer to the equator. They're in one of the buildings at the Naval Air Station, which was...
Oh, really?
Yeah. Entire engine jet facility, overhaul facility at the Naval Jet Engine Overhaul Facility, Building 360, and is now part of the National Air Station Alameda Superfund site. That's great. DARPA Challenge. They went public July 2021. Last year was a big year for public IPOs. I know two companies, one of my former students and another company that was with a guy I went to grad school with, did IPO last year.
Awesome.
Yeah. Yes, I told you about that company. I'm actually going to buy stock in it, which I will do next week.
Guess what? Yeah, I bought Netflix, and guess what?
Oh, it went down?
Oh, yeah. It went, Disney. We're doing the stock corner.
Yeah, this is our weekly stock corner.
I bought Netflix, and then it's not tanking, but it's, up. It's going down pretty quick. It's up against Disney Plus streaming.
Well, Disney reported a lot of positives.
Well, what happened was it was kind of an artificial positive, as I read. Because
I saw
because they bundled with Hulu and ESPN, I think.
Okay.
And so it gave them an artificial growth in subscribers because they did the bundling.
Okay.
And a lot of people are doing. They got a name for it. It's people that sign on for whatever show that comes out that they want to see.
Oh yeah, and then they're gone.
They get out.
Yeah, they do the intro offer. And Disney's been a big thing on Disney is the Star Wars, the Mandalorian, and then the Book of Boba Fett, which
is awesome.
Did you watch all of that?
Yeah, I've seen every one of them.
And so it's worth checking out?
Yeah,
okay.
I would definitely check it out. So,
I've seen some critiques of it on YouTube, of course, and they weren't very friendly. But you're saying it's...
Oh, really?
Yeah.
They brought back the Mandalorian.
Yeah, I know that. I've seen... you're not going to spoil anything. I've watched two lengthy reviews. Yeah. And then there's Baby Yoda is in there, and Baby Yoda has to make a choice, and so yeah, I'll check it out. I just haven't... The Mandalorian was great, and I watched...
I didn't see the Baby Yoda had a choice. Did he put his two hands out and wear their pills, a red pill and a blue pill?
I thought it was I think there's... Maybe you haven't seen the last episode.
Like the Matrix?
I think there's some sort of choice or something. You may not have seen it all.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, there was.
And then you're watching Reacher, which I finished watching.
Yeah, we love Reacher.
Reacher is great. Amazon did a great job. Maybe not a great job. They did a very good job. So they did justice to Reacher, which was awesome because I've read a bunch of his books, those books years ago. So should we jump into UAP stuff?
UFO, UAP.
So should we start with Chris Lato's videos? Chris Lato is a YouTube former F-16 pilot that does analysis of UAP stuff. And he did 3 videos recently. He did a reenactment Tic Tac visual engagement. He did a cap point, and I thought was real interesting about the jamming of the Tic Tac.
Yes.
And then he did the most recent one was he did a simulation engagement video of what the encounter with the Tic Tac was originally. All 3 of them were very good.
Yeah, he puts together a really good program. Yeah, and they are jamming. You know, he shows how, and they can't. When Favor was discussing, he had to skirt. There was some terminology that he had to skirt around because it was. I think it was encroaching on the privileged information
top
about
secret
how we do things.
Capabilities, yeah.
So he's
that's the thing that really stuck me is because this Tic Tac could jam modern fighters' electronics targeting. He said it was jamming its targeting abilities. And another thing I thought was interesting when they contacted Favor was the wing commander for the original contact with the Tic Tac.
Yes, Favor and the female pilot also, and there was another guy that he said that went up and had to see this thing.
That's the guy that filmed the Tic Tac video.
Yeah,
and Favor. One of the things that came out in Chris Lato's video that I thought was cool was when Favor was originally contacted, they asked him if he was armed, and they weren't because they're doing simulation runs. And the first thing they asked him was, "Are you armed?" I wonder.
Really? Who asked him if he was armed?
Whoever the controllers or whoever guided them into the site.
Their tower, their air traffic controller people.
Yeah, whoever was responsible.
Is probably the flight officer.
Yeah, and they asked him if they were armed. They should have known, but they asked him if they were armed, and he's like, "No." We'll go look at this anyway.
Shoot it.
You shoot it.
Yeah, but they got radar lock on it and they were tracking it, right?
I think so. I think the ships were seeing it, but when they, I don't know, I don't remember if Favors got a radar lock. The second airship that went out and actually photographed it, his video, and Chris Lato was talking about that. His video shows that they were something came up about jamming. And I think it was even mentioned by the pilot. It says that they were jamming the targeting. And Lato spends some time talking about how that, how the equipment works and how, but the optical camera could lock in on it.
Okay, they weren't able to actually paint it as a target.
No, that was coming out. He pointed out in the video of the Tic Tac, there was a readout that said like 99.99 or 999 or something like that. And he said that's an indicator that they can't get a lock on it. They can't get a target lock. They could get a visual lock on it. So that was pretty cool, and I like the way he explains things. And it's nice to see him explain it as a pilot and how they think about the stuff and how they approach these problems. It's very 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 good.
Yeah, it's informative. That's for sure.
And then
Yeah, I mean they were off the coast of San Diego, and these things for anybody who doesn't really know where this happened. I mean, it's they have sectors that they stay within, and they've got a really good. The Navy releases the timeline. Well, actually, this is the drone thing.
That's the drone thing.
Yeah, that's another thing. But they're in the same area. I think they're in the same area.
Yeah,
as they are for the the Tic Tac. I think I don't know about I don't know if the drone, and it's completely different type of air.
It's a different scenario. So the debrief, it's the drive is the website, and it had an article called another article on the 2019 UAS swarm, and
The war zone, is that the one with the war?
Yeah, it's in the drive, and then
zone?
it's in the war zone within the drive, which is one of their sub-sites or sub-categories. I think it's cars and stuff, and then it has the war zone. And it had, I was looking at my new keyboard. It had, I just saw some stuff on there. What does it do? I have a keyboard. It's lit up, and then it has like rainbow stuff on the side.
Is this brand new keyboard?
Yeah, it was cheap. It was cheap. It was $20, but it's a gaming keyboard, and I guess the gaming keyboard is very clicky. And I guess you can program.
Is it the kind that's all curved and ergonomically correct?
This is a smaller square. It's a basic keyboard, but it does have glowy stuff. It's got rainbow stuff on the side, and it's blue in the night at night. It's all right. It's good. It's cheap. Clicky. Night. It's clicky. What's that?
Dark.
In the dark. It glows glows in the dark. It's clicky. It's good enough. My old keyboard, I think, was melting my hands. So
it was taking the skin off, wasn't it? You should be a little concerned about that. Oh, same with your old mouse. I don't know if
it's melting me. Oh my God! Yeah, these ancient Apple mice and keyboards. I don't know if it was just the material in it or the material is breaking down with age and then releasing stuff that like melts your skin. So, yeah. Yes, there was the exciting thing. I told you when I was using the mouse and I'm looking at the mouse, I go, "What's that stuff on the mouse?" And it was like skin and blood. So I think
that could be a that could be a workplace injury.
Yeah.
I need to go to the doctor. Then they drug screen you. Of course, it's clear, but it's like, I'm sorry, you're gonna have to drug screen. Your skin's melting off your finger onto your mouse. This couldn't be good.
Yeah, so that went away, and the old keyboard is going away. So I'm going to keep it. I bought a cover for it, so the cover of the keys, so I'll keep it as a backup. But the crazy thing is I had 4 of these keyboards, and it's just like, how in the hell did I end up with 4 of these things? Because it's like you buy a computer, it comes with a keyboard. When I left my job, I took keyboard and screen and stuff, and it's like, oh my God, I have 4 of them, and they're all toxic. But anyway, it's a bit of
it's that Florida weather.
I think it's just old plastics.
On it.
Old plastics degrading and releasing some nasty stuff. Good for you.
That's awesome.
No, yeah. Especially when it's your finger. So the drive
go ahead.
2019 UAS Swarm.
Yeah, let's move into the Swarm.
Did I have anything to... They had... actually, I took notes. So they had this slide in the Drive article, which was a breakdown of the event. And they had so the event lasted for 2 hours and 49 minutes, started at 7:56 p.m. Pacific time. The drones were clocked at going 69 miles per hour, and they could go up to 2,000 feet. One of them was 2,000 feet above the ship. They call them the UAS stands for Unmanned Aerial Systems. One of them fell into the water.
Yeah, and when I read that, I went, did it just fall in, or did it dive in and it goes undersea, or... Yeah. They said it made it sound like it failed and just dropped into the water, but I don't know if that's actually what happened. It might have maybe it's something that can go underwater. But
they're saying they also had flashing red lights.
Yeah, you know how I feel about lights.
Yeah, I'm thinking these are test. They said one of the ships that was a littoral ship that didn't provide any a littoral combat ship that didn't provide any. What are the logs? Doesn't maintain any deck logs. It's like they don't maintain. The Navy doesn't maintain deck logs, and it doesn't keep them for a long time. Is what was suggested by the Drive. It's like, what is going on?
Yeah, why would they not keep deck logs for, every other company keeps logs for things
everything,
forever.
everything. And then
and in the camera system, it's like, did you see the picture?
Yeah, it's a infrared.
And what happened to the Snoopies? I thought they were running all around the ship taking pictures.
We don't have any pictures. We don't have any information. And then the Navy says, we don't know anything. We don't know anything. So I'm guessing that this particular incident was testing drones against warships, because the ships had they disconnected their tracking systems for commercial traffic. I forget what those are called. Yeah. And then the ship's running lights were on. So if you're trying to avoid detection, they turn off their electronics tracking, but their commercial tracker, but they leave the running lights on.
Right.
They probably so the Navy, the U.S. Navy has a high incidence of running into stuff, running into other ships.
Other ships.
So they and things. And things, so they probably feel they can't turn the running lights off because they'll get run down, and their radar operators and navigators aren't capable of avoiding things, I guess.
Well, it's kind of like the submarine that got grounded a couple months ago. I don't know if that seemed like 2 months ago.
They ran into a
shallow shoal or something.
Undersea mound.
A couple of people got fired for that deal.
Oh my God! A lot of
people
didn't
have to pay for it.
All right, so here's talking about Navy incidents. So you had two Navy destroyers off of China getting run into by freighters, these massive freighters, during the day in calm seas and clear blue skies. So there's some captains lost their jobs over that. Then you've had two submarines that have run into stuff under the sea, run into like sea mounds. Right. One a long time ago, and then this one recently. The third exciting thing was the aircraft carrier. It was a light aircraft carrier in Coronado that caught on fire, and then they couldn't put the fire out because they didn't have any firefighter training. And then they of course pinned the whole thing on some, or tried to probably pin the whole thing on some seaman. He said he was disgruntled and he set a fire. It's like, it's probably some kid that was smoking a cigarette in a corner, and they're like, "You were smoking a cigarette?" And then they're like, "Okay, you're the arsonist." But the ship burnt down. They couldn't, and there was no firefighter training, and that captain got fired. Oh, and then another thing is, did you know that the Marine Corps is no longer an amphibious force?
No. What happened?
There has been a complete collapse of the amphibious force command, the people that run the show for the landing tracks, because they had eight Marines drowned in a landing craft, so they had no ability. The ability to maintain these landing craft apparently is gone, and the command structure was incompetent. So officially in the Marine Corps, the landing craft are no longer allowed to go in the water. They can operate on land, but they're not allowed to go in the water. So it's like what is going on? And then we're going to, President Badfinger wants to go to nuclear war over the Ukraine. I'm very optimistic.
Yeah, it seems to be getting worse. I thought this thing was settling down. Now we're telling our people, get out. Get out. Now within 24 hours, you need to be out of there.
And Russia is going to attack next Wednesday at 2:05 p.m.
2:05 p.m. Yeah, that's the time.
Yes, exactly. I think it's just our political class, our inbred, married to their first cousins, political class, are determined to get the party's poll numbers up, and the traditional thing was, we need a war. Get our numbers up.
Good for the economy.
Good, parts of the economy.
Doesn't seem to be good for the economy right now.
Yeah. Oh, here's a good thing. I saw this line. Some guy put this on Instagram. He, I don't do Instagram. I saw this on another website. But he took a picture of this steak at Voldemort's. which Voldemort's is what I call Walmart. So he took a picture of a steak at Voldemort's. It's wrapped in like chicken wire with a electronic lock on it.
Yeah, they have that spider lock.
Yeah,
It's that little black, looks like a little puck, and with a lot of spider, like a spider thing.
Yeah, and then the one of the comments to this video was people said, "How are you? You know, Voldemort's has like 2 people working in the store, and it's all self checkout." He goes, "How are you going to find somebody to take this thing off the meat?" So,
yeah.
Have you been in a Voldemort's lately? Probably not.
The Walmarts?
Yeah.
Nah, well, we did, but it was a very bad experience. We were buying some. I use the pans for drip when I'm doing rotisserie, like prime rib.
Oh, and you want to just get a bundle of
get a bundle of them
Yeah.
because I destroy them a lot of times, or I just want one I can destroy and let Deb use the other for. She does a lot of baking.
Mm-hmm.
So we go in there and people are just cutting ahead. It was the worst experience.
I went into the local one.
I said, "Holy crap! This is like people are rude and just."
It was insane. I went to the local one and it was absolutely insane. And I went in there and it's just like, it's like literally there's like 2 people working there, and then it's like the checkout line was insane. The self checkout line was insane. I can't even remember what I picked up. It was something minor. Yeah. It was something minor, and it was just like, it was entertaining, but it was bizarre. And I asked my kid about it. I said, "Have you been to Walmart lately?" He goes, "Oh yeah, we went there to get this stuff." And he goes, "It was just insane." So it's like, who runs this show?
It's like, kind of interesting because younger people, like in their 20s, like, you know, your son, they don't care as much about this weird stuff. It's like, Johnny, I was driving with Johnny, you know, about a month ago, and we're cut off. People are doing stupid stuff, and he's driving. He doesn't even. I go, "Holy shit!" And he's like, "Yeah, people really drive." He doesn't even react. You know, Debbie be screaming and honking.
Yeah,
and he just drives. He's just as calm as complete. He goes, "Yeah, that's what people do."
Yeah,
yeah. It's really bad out there.
Yeah, it's getting crazy, man. So UAS 2019. So I don't know. I think it's Navy testing combat drones or something against warships. I don't think this is like a comparable to the Tic Tac. The Tic Tac did not have running lights.
Yeah, you know how I feel about running lights.
Yeah.
UFOs don't need to know.
Need to be seen.
They should, well, like I know, but they shouldn't. Theoretically, they shouldn't have to have lights. Because when I hear, "Yes, I saw a UFO with lights," I almost discard that as being a UFO. It's like, nah, it doesn't need, or windows. The other one's the windows with people looking out.
I actually like that. I
like it, but it's, I guess they could have observation ports from UFOs.
Well, there was that one big sighting in Indonesia with a lot of witnesses, and they were saying there was like an upper deck where people were walking and they waved back, and
that's the one.
That's fascinating.
It looked like a cruise ship in the sky.
Well, I mean, with that, you could actually say that could be atmospheric conditions, and with a ship over the horizon, and it just happens to lens in. Because there was, I read a book on, it's this book, I can't remember, I have to look up the title, but it's a recommended reading for modern submariners, and it's touted as sort of like the modern Bible for the crewmen and the officers to read. And I'm like, oh, I've never seen that. I've read a lot of submarine warfare books from World War II and stuff, and this is a World War II submarine book. Oh, I've never read this. I read it, and it's like, it's not all that they're saying it is. But one of the things that was in there is on 2 occasions when this guy was doing patrols the sea north of Japan, which is getting up there and it's cold. They saw a couple of instances with this lensing effect where you could see a ship like 30, 40 miles away. And,
really?
Yeah, but you could tell it was a lensing effect, and but they're just like, it was like an amazing optical phenomena. But those are very special conditions because it's calm seas, Arctic air, you know, warm and cold air, and pristine, clear conditions. And anyway, so I don't know.
Yeah, I'm going to kind of discount the drone thing.
Yeah, I think it's military tests. I think they're testing drones against warships.
It's
I think
exciting. I think they should have shot them down, but they were armed. That wasn't like the Tic Tac thing. Yeah, I think it's something, but
Tic Tac. Yeah, Tic Tac.
We can't. It's beyond our capability to track it, and that's what your friends at your Luis Elizondo. You mean the Galileo? The Galileo project are gonna solve for us, right? They're gonna figure out what the things are.
Hey, do you want to do your ad? We're at 30.
We're at 30.
Yeah, you're not ready.
BCS. Yeah, I'm ready.
All
right. From Orion BCS, their goal is to find the best program and rates available for your business. Their team has years of experience helping clients find lower rates for processing credit cards. They understand that every business is different, so let them spend time to find out what suits your business best. So visit orionbcs.com and begin the process towards saving you money to help you realize your financial goals. Once again, visit orionbcs.com and contact them today. All programs of Orion BCS are subject to terms and conditions. Visit orionbcs.com for more details. Thank you, Orion. And now back to our show.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Project Galileo, that guy from Stanford, I can't remember his name, which is terrible. I should remember his name. He did an interview with this Russian kid who's an AI researcher at MIT. And he has a podcast where he interviews people. And, what's the guy's name? I can't remember the guy's name. I've actually met him when I was at Stanford. I can't remember his name. Gary Nolan. So Gary Nolan was interviewed by this guy, and he said that he had just been joined the Galileo project, for what it's worth. And Chris Mellon have joined, and Luis Elizondo has joined. So it's going. We'll see what they.
What is it? Do you ever get any updates on that, or what's going on?
I haven't. I've looked at the website, and we'll see. They got to build the camera, and the cameras are like $1 million each, and they got to deploy them, and then they got to take pictures. So we'll see what happens. But it was interesting that Nolan said that. When he goes, yeah, I'm a capitalism. He goes, scientists are capitalist. I go, oh, that's new. Or it's not new. When he said he was
it's not new. That's the problem.
Yeah, he says he's capitalist. And he also said, he goes, I'm not a historian. He goes, I'm not interested in any of the old stuff. So, but he did say something interesting about the fragments from that UFO explosion over the beach in Brazil. Said he had two pieces of material which have a good chain of custody as coming from that incident, and one of them had the isotope mix, and one of them just looked like regular magnesium isotope. So, well, they were mixed. They were mixed isotopes, mixed material, because magnesium, you throw it in water, it's going to explode. So it had other elements in there.
What does that tell us, Doctor?
I don't know.
Is it exotic material?
The one with the mixed isotopes, I would say, is definitely an exotic material. The other one is not an exotic material. And the only thing that I could tell you, if the documentation, if the chain of custody for the material is really solid, it just tells you it's two pieces of material from two different parts of the whatever exploded. So one may be an engine component, a piece of the engine, or a piece of some sort of special equipment with the weird isotope ratio, and the other one may just be like a door frame.
So we're thinking maybe self-destruct device, because it doesn't leave enough material for us to even identify anything big enough for us to identify anything. It just obliterated itself, huh?
Well, I don't know. I think there probably was a lot of material, but the people just grabbed some bits and pieces that they saw. And one of the things is if you can take into consideration the amount of energy for these craft to do what they do, I mean, there's a lot of energy in there. So if something goes wrong, I would not think that an unexpected massive explosion would be that shocking. Speaking of explosions, I sent you the video of the F-35 crashing on the aircraft carrier.
Yes, and it does look like the landing gear's not down.
Yeah, I know. I looked at it a few times. I wanted your opinion on that. It's like the hook is down, but there's no landing gear, and then you can hear the ground controller screaming, "Pull up! Pull up! Pull up! Pull up!" Oh my God!
How embarrassing would that be? Well, no, it could have been an equipment malfunction. I mean, let's face it.
Absolutely. You might have thrown the switch and everything lit up and said the gear was down.
Yeah. I mean, it could be just, massive equipment malfunction. So I don't want to dirt the pilot necessarily.
No, I wouldn't put it.
It was how many? How many million was this thing? 100 million.
100 million.
F-35, the Raptor.
Yeah, brand new. Second one that's gone into the sea. And the news is reporting about how it's a race to recover the ship before the Chinese or the Russians get it. And I mentioned that to my wife, and she just started laughing. And she goes, they already have all that technology. They don't need to recover the ship to.
But we don't want to risk them getting anything that. She's right.
Yeah, she's like, they already got it. I mean, they don't need to pull it up. They already have the information on these things.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I can tell you that I have a relative that was in the South China Sea, I'd like to say, and I was in the military also, that probably in the 80s.
1980s, yeah. Yeah.
And he observed, you were in the South China Sea during bad weather operations, and 3 F-14 Tomcats went in the water.
Wow.
So this isn't new, sir.
Yeah.
It's throwing away money. I don't know if they got those back.
Well, it was like
sitting at the bottom of the ocean.
No, they probably didn't care. You remember the Vietnam, when we left Vietnam, and it was 1975. Although you always used to see on the news
the Hueys.
Yeah, they're pushing the aircraft, the helicopters off the deck into the ocean to make more room for more aircraft.
Yeah,
crazy.
Yeah, that's not at Hueys. They're everywhere. We don't need these.
Yeah, no, it's old. It's 5 years old. It's the warranty's up. So
it's old technology.
So
you want to talk about Wernher von Braun?
Yeah, let's hit Wernher von Braun. Wernher von Braun.
Born 1912, died 1977. That was a good year. He was one of the most important rocket developers and champions of the space exploration in the 20th century. And I mean, this guy is the father of rocketry in my mind.
Oh, yeah.
But the guy that started NASA was also a Project Paperclip, I believe. It wasn't Wernher von Braun. There are people that think Werner started NASA, but he didn't. It was someone else.
I need to. I got a couple of those paper clip books. I need to go through those. Yeah, I'm very interested in that whole program. It's a fascinating, fascinating event that happened to recruit. Basically, they didn't recruit him. They just said you have a choice.
You have a choice.
You have a choice. We can put you on trial for war crimes, or you can come work for us. It's as simple as that. And he
developed the V2, which was special.
Yep, the V2 rocket, which was a.
You don't think about it that the coast of England off of the coast of Germany was only 200 miles. That is, if they lob this thing over the English Channel.
Yeah.
And it just drops into England and blows up and destroys.
Yep, 5,000 people. 5,000 people dead. So von Braun was responsible for 5,000 dead.
Yeah, well, it's They say, if you read the article, well, yeah, I know you did. It says it's controversial. Hard to retain everything from it, but it said it's controversial whether he was responsible for the deaths of the people since we hired him afterwards.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and if in that show For All Mankind, they they actually, the character that was playing von Braun, they slammed him for the connections.
Yeah.
And alienated his god-niece or goddaughter or whoever she was. But yeah, this article said London and Antwerp were subject to V-2 rocket bombings at the end of the war. It was 5,000. They say 5,000 people were killed. He had big plans. I like this article. I've read about this stuff before. He had big plans for space stations. And we've had and moon base. One of the things he said, but he was big on space station and moon bases for weapons platforms, not just for exploration.
He thought our space station should be carrying nuclear weapons as a deterrent for war.
Yeah.
There's always fear is always a good, deterrent for
there's a picture.
Anything.
There's a picture of him in this article where he explains the Saturn V rocket to John F. Kennedy, November 16, 1953.
Yeah,
in von Braun's wearing sunglasses and pointing up. He looks like Dr. Strangelove from that Kubrick movie. Oh, the Kubrick movie is Dr. Strangelove, but he looks like the Peter Sellers played Dr. Strangelove, and he looks like Dr. Strangelove in this photo.
Doesn't he look a little bit like Trump? I mean, if you look at that picture with Kennedy.
It's the hair. It's the hair. It's the comb.
If it was color,
I
don't know what color it was. Maybe he had red hair.
It's the comb over on the front that makes it look like that.
What was that?
But
my God.
I was looking at this, and he said that in 1959, the U.S. Army developed Project Horizon, a plan for a moon base that would house scientists and potentially nuclear missiles. Would require 140 launches as long as another 64 launches in its first year to maintain the base. The cost at the time was $6 billion, which equates to $54 billion today. And I had to compare that to the California Magic Train that they're building.
Yeah, our bullet train.
Yeah, the Magic Train is the budget now is they're saying it's going to cost $105 billion.
Oh, we got plenty of money.
So we could do California. California could build could have built a moon base, 2 moon bases, for the cost of the Magic Train. That's not even a tenth finished.
And they say, I mean, may want to lob some nuclear. Are we not concerned that we've got a moon base and somebody might explode a nuclear warhead on the moon? And you realize the moon as a you can explode stuff on the Earth all day long and not have a lot of effect, but not really affect the planetary
on Earth
direction of Earth. But if you start lobbing nuclear warheads at the moon, you realize the moon's circumference is only 6,700 miles compared to the Earth's at 24,000 miles. So you blow something up on the moon. If we blow up the moon by war, I hope these people think this is going to be a bit of a problem.
You cannot blow up the moon. You cannot blow up the moon. You will not blow up the moon.
So
the moon will
maybe
not,
with this base. Yeah,
the nukes will not will not blow up the moon. Don't worry about the moon.
I'm worried about the moon.
You're worried about the moon. You're watching too many of these weird moon movies they've been coming out with lately.
Unfortunately, we've got, as we roll into, we're going to talk about von Braun without jumping around too much, but since we're here.
Yeah,
and he wanted to put a base there. We're also going to have a base there with the Soviets and the Chinese.
Very soon.
Actively.
Very soon.
Yeah.
Within the next 5 years, there will be a collaboration between Russia and China base on the moon.
And I know they want to do it. I want it real quick. They had stated that they're going to have like a rocket there that actually comes. It's got to express back to Earth in case something happens. They said the cosmonauts really like that because something happens, somebody gets hurt.
Yeah,
I'm sure they'll have facilities there like they do here. But they said if we need to get to Earth for whatever reason, they've got a rapid escape vehicle to get people back to the Earth if they need it.
So I want to, speaking of the space station, I've mentioned this before about the International Space Station, which I guess they're going to orbit within the next few years.
Yeah, it's coming down.
And it's like the International Space Station exemplifies international cooperation, peaceful and purely scientific pursuit in outer space. Well, I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but I don't know if it's still true. Is like the Russians and the Americans, like it's like siblings that fight over the bedroom where you draw the line down the middle. So there was like these, this is our side and this is your side. And something that hasn't been in a lot of the news is, do you remember that the escape capsule that was sabotaged on the?
No, I didn't know that.
Somebody had went in there. I've seen the report on it. Somebody went in there with a drill and drilled a little hole in the escape capsule. Oh, and wow. And the Russians are reporting it was a lady astronaut who, I don't know, some sort of weird shit, was fighting with her boyfriend or something, and wanted to get off the station. So she sabotaged the station. The U.S. is like, no, she didn't, and the Russians are like, somebody drilled a hole in the escape capsule, and they think it was her because of this conflict, this emotional conflict that she was happening. But it's gotten zero news. So yeah, this is the state of our military.
Wow.
Yeah.
So why does this thing have to be destroyed? Can't you just pull it out into a further? Is the orbit decaying, or why do we have to?
I don't know. Who knows? It's maybe the systems are failing. I mean, that's the only thing I could think of is you can't repair it anymore.
Like an old computer, it's outdated.
Yeah.
Then we just want to replace it.
Yeah. The graphics card is dying, so once the graphic card goes, they're just going to have to dump it into the ocean.
Yeah. I don't know. It's interesting.
Oh, and one of the
go ahead. What do you got?
Yeah, one of the things they talk about is the 1967 treaty to ban nuclear weapons in orbit, and I think that also put restrictions on nuclear power in orbit to some degree, which I think was a big mistake. And as a corollary to that, it's like France is ramping up their nuclear power program. Says they're going to build like 15 new reactors because of global warming, because it's a great solution for global warming.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know what year is it. I don't know what's going on anymore. It feels like it's 1970s or something. We've got terrible inflation. We have a president that's trying to start nuclear war with Russia to get his poll numbers up. What else is going on?
Like bell bottoms.
Bell bottoms. I actually saw somebody wearing bell bottoms.
Yep, it's coming back.
I was like, yeah.
Remember big bells.
Yeah.
Remember big bells. And then we'd undo the bottom. Everybody's listening going, oh, God.
Oh, my God. I hated bell bottoms. Hated them.
And then you undo the bottom to make them longer and go over your shoes.
Yeah. Oh, God. I hate
like, how old are you guys?
Well, we're not boomers. That's one thing, because when it's like the Joe Rogan thing where they're talking about whoever that Castrato singer that was pulling his music.
Yeah.
He's pulling his music. He's like, oh, God, nobody cares. He's got some good songs, but it's like, who cares?
Neil, who is it? Neil Young?
Yeah. It's one of those things where it's like boomer music.
Yeah, people like anybody cares.
Yeah,
it's like, yeah, well.
So
was it because of non-vac? We're way off track, but
Rogan, yeah.
Was it a non-vac talking about people that don't support the vaccination?
Well, I don't know what it was. I didn't see the episodes or watch them or something. But he had two MDs who have good reputations. We're critical of the zombie apocalypse. And apparently, because he has an audience of 11 billion people, or 11 million, routine audience huge. Of 11 million people, the powers that be started poopy their pants. They go, too many people are going to listen to Joe Rogan and believe all this stuff. Yeah. So then it's a campaign, a coordinated campaign to try and get him deplatformed. Yeah. So it apparently didn't work, because if you have a guaranteed audience of 11 million people, there's people that are willing to pay you a lot of money to do what you're doing. And what would Spotify be without Joe Rogan? I mean,
Yeah. Well, they bought him away from the other. I mean,
well, he was at YouTube, and then they bought him away from YouTube, and then Rumble or something said, if you want to leave Spotify, we'll pay you as much money.
yeah.
And he could go out on his own and make a ton of money. I mean, even
Well,
if
they say, yeah. Debbie says that he was a sellout. A lot of people. Nobody's leaving to listen. Nobody's not listening to him. They said he's a sellout. Going to Spotify, and it's
well, you can still listen to this stuff. You can still, it's still available. It's free.
I don't think it's hurting anything.
Yeah, it's
for
free.
him. He's not hurting for money. But the thing that does hurt him is this talk of WWE wrestling all the time.
Oh God, yeah.
I like Joe Rogan, but I can't do the wrestling one.
Yeah, I don't listen to the wrestling stuff.
Of course, there's people that don't like football and NASCAR either. So. But yeah,
I don't know what any of those are. What were those? What was those? I don't understand those words that you're using.
You live in the South. You should be wearing the NASCAR banner.
Hey, my team is the Krakens.
The Krakens, yeah, from the
GFL.
Galactic Football League.
Krakens.
That is such a badass series.
Yeah, my team is the Krakens.
That is
awesome. Yeah, it's an awesome. That's Scott Sigler's science fiction series.
Yeah, it is very good.
So
there's your book corner.
Book corner for your 2-minute book corner. Well, we got more books. So I just read The Believer by Ralph Blumenthal, which is about John Mack, who was a psychiatrist at Harvard, who was interviewing and treating people who say they had been abducted by aliens. And which wasn't, and I don't know a lot about alien abduction stuff. I barely looked into it. It wasn't bad, because I've been reading the biographies of like the key people of the UFO history. So there was James McDonald's biography, which I read. James McDonald, Hynek. I read Carl Sagan, which was interesting because I always admired Carl Sagan. I've actually been to several lectures that he's given. And
oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, been to two. I went to one of them. I went to a SETI lecture he gave in Palo Alto in the late 80s. He died in the 90s. And my sister was a volunteer at it. So she's like, "Do you want to go see Carl Sagan give a talk?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, it'd be cool." So she says, "Well, show up at SETI in Palo Alto at, I don't know what it was, like 7:00 on Friday night." So I drive out there, park, and there's this huge line to get into the thing. She goes, "I'll meet you out front." This is before cell phones. She goes, "I'll meet you out front at 7:00. So I go out there and I walk up, and there's this huge line to go in to see him give a talk, and she's nowhere in sight. So I'm like, "Oh crap, she's not here." So I went over and I get in the back of the line, and like 2 minutes later, she comes running out. She goes, "Where have you been? I've been looking all over for you." So she hustles me inside, takes me into the hall where they're giving the talk, and takes me up to the front row, and says,
"Oh, wow.
Yeah, front row, says, 'Sit here. These 2 seats are saved for us.'"
Oh, and, awesome.
Yeah. And so I sat there as he gave a lecture, like, I don't know, 8 feet away. So it was very cool.
That is great.
So it was interesting. But yeah, I read his biography, and it's like, after reading his biography, it's like, the problem with reading a biography is you get to see someone's warts and all. And oh. So he did smoke. He smoked a lot of pot, which is why he always was so mellow all the time. Because the guy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's because he was baked. He was baked half the time.
He was baked.
Yeah. So he's baked half. So that's why he could talk so mellow. That's why I'm mellow.
Yeah. I don't know how people can even function.
He apparently would like dictate his books into a tape recorder, and I could just imagine the editing of that afterwards. Giving it to his secretary, and here, type this up and edit this for me.
That was before edibles. All you hear is a lot of talking, and
yeah. So anyway, the John Mack biography was actually pretty good. The guy genuinely interested in what these people went through, viewed it as a lot of these people view this thing as a traumatic event. And he actually was attacked for doing this. And he wrote a book. And when the book came out, there was a woman and her husband that had like infiltrated his therapy group. He ran a therapy group for abductees. And this woman was not a genuine abductee, and her husband had approached him at some meeting and said, I'm an abductee or whatever. And he had provided them with a lot of literature about abductees to read. And so he sort of like set them up for the knowledge to come in. And then she came in and she was faking this whole thing. His book came out. He tried to publish articles on this in major scientific journals, and they wouldn't publish. They wouldn't touch it. And then he said, okay, since I can't publish it, I'm going to write a book. So he wrote a book. The book came out. He made a good chunk of change on the book, a good upfront money. And when the book came out, this lady, this reporter interviewed this lady and wrote an article for one of the major magazines. I don't know, it was like Newsweek or Time. Do they even have those anymore? They were crappy. Yeah. They've always been crappy. But she did a major article for one of those major newspapers, magazine. And she goes, yeah, I faked the whole thing. I'm not a real abductee.
Oh, great.
And then Harvard had to investigate him for like whatever, and was bad behavior. So they investigated him for a year. He had to hire lawyers for this, which basically ate all his money, his upfront money from the book sale. And so it's like the reason I was thinking about this, because people have been saying with Joe Rogan that it was a coordinated attack against him, because there's people exactly repeating the same thing. And this video was put together. There's been big articles written. It's a whole it's like this pattern that we've seen over and over again for the last few years. When somebody steps out of line politically, they're attacked, and we have to deplatform them. We have to get rid of them. So he was. This is in the 1990s, early 1990s. They wanted to get rid of this guy, and Harvard investigated him for a year, and coincidentally, a UFO debunking book came out right around the time that he was being investigated by Harvard, and this panel used this book as a like evidence against him that everything he was doing was bullshit. And it's called Watch the Skies by Curtis Peoples, and it's actually pretty good. I started reading it. But one of the things that you see with these debunking books, and I saw this is like in the first chapter, the guy, he talks about the Mantell incident, the pilot.
Yeah.
And he goes into great detail about it, talks about the sightings, talks about the witnesses and what they saw. And then at the end of all that, and the witness was saying a large object, saw it through binoculars, and then at the end he goes, it's just the planet Venus.
No.
Yeah, I know. It's like, wait a minute, dude, you're writing a debunking book. You laid out all this evidence, and you have all these witnesses that saw these different things. And then you come out and you say, it's just planet Venus. It's like, don't front load your debunking book for failure in the first chapter. So we'll see.
The aircraft was, excuse me real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
The aircraft was in pieces before it hit the ground. So something happened.
Well, he's saying that the plane went into a spin and came apart. But one of the things that was interesting is this guy is an aeronautical journalist, and it's published by the Smithsonian, which is an interesting, because there's this book published by the Smithsonian, and I have another book on Roswell a few years later that was published by the Smithsonian, and it's also a debunking book. So I'm interested in reading these things. But with the Mantell thing, he said that the throttle setting and the blade pitch were set to try and slow the plane down. So Mantell, at some point, actually, they believe he did lose consciousness from oxygen lack, but he did wake up once he came down a little bit and try to control the plane because it showed which something I haven't seen before. Which,
interesting. I haven't seen that
yeah,
either.
yeah. The throttle control had been pitched back. The throttle control had been put on a quarter idle, and the propeller pitch had been set at max RPM, which is apparently a setting that you use for trying to slow the plane down. So anyway,
I hadn't heard that it just now ruined my theory.
well, yeah. I don't think he ran into it, but he did. I think he was genuinely chasing something. My opinion is it might have been a balloon.
Well, he chased it and then he went too high. And
yeah.
Oxygen deprivation and then
Yep.
Yeah, maybe it.
But there was another. I mean, anyway, we don't know. But the thing where they're saying it's just Venus is bullshit. So he was genuinely pursuing a large object. It wasn't a fast-moving object, and many people saw it and did not flat out recognize it as a balloon. So who knows what was going on with that? All right, my 2 cents on John Mack. Oh, anyway, but John Mack, they basically took all his money from his book because he had to hire lawyers to defend himself against Harvard, and then Harvard came back and said, well, we're not going to do anything to you. We just want to fuck with you for a year.
Yeah, that's special.
Yeah. Anyway, so we're at 1 hour and 1 minute and 4 seconds.
All right. Thanks for listening to the latest episode of the Alien Probe Podcast. We welcome comments, questions, or requests to alienprobepodcast@gmail.com. Visit us on Facebook at alienprobe.net, Twitter and Instagram at alienprobepod, YouTube at Alien Probe Podcast. Thanks again, Dr. Bill. Thanks to our senior producer, Robert Anthony, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time. Bye-bye.